When you are ambitious, when you have a vision for your life, when you want to go somewhere, you cannot afford to surround yourself with or even bother with people that have no destination. They're just good with the day to day, and they are low vibrational, and they don't want to do anything. They don't have any goals. You cannot afford to even be around these people. Okay? Because first of all, you're moving in very different ways in your day-to-day activities, right? The way that you, doesn't mean you're perfect, but the way that you're managing your time and the things that you even choose to do, they're not doing it that way. Okay? The way that you see an hour, they don't see the hour the same way. Okay? And people that are low vibrational, that are not only are they not going anywhere for themselves, like they just don't have any ambition. Like they're content with the day to day. Like this is enough for them. And that's wonderful. That's great. If that works for them, it works for them. That's awesome. But for you, that's not gonna work. So be careful with surrounding yourself with people like that. And then, in addition to that, if you have any sense of tomorrow and you want to be something, you want to make something of your life, stay away from people that lack maturity. They can't offer anything to you. They can't make your life better. All they can do is create drama and keep you spinning in your mind and in your thoughts, wasting time. Okay, you don't have time when you are an ambitious person. You don't have time to manage conflict. What? Yeah, for people, you don't have time to manage conflict, and that's the thing. They might say, okay, when you try to be, you're cordial, but you're not all up under people because A, you're focused, and B, you already know what they're about. You're not gonna get involved in their nonsense because you already know what they're about. You already know what they're looking for. They're looking for interaction. They're looking for an opportunity to entangle you in some sort of an argument, to get you involved in a back and forth. When you're like, yeah, not interested, right? It's like, how many more ways can you communicate that? Not interested. If there is something to discuss, just because you're in the same environment, it's like, okay, just talk about the thing. Like civilized, mature, or grown adults. Get to the bottom of it, get to the solution, and then keep it moving. You don't have time to dwell in situations. You don't have time to rehash things that have no value. Okay, get into people's feelings and people's past, and no, kidding me? Who has time for that? Not if you have a goal for your life. Who has time to be dealing? That's why you have to. That's why relationships are so important. The type of relationships that you have, the quality of people that you surround yourself with is so important. Because you and these people, you're not even on the same wavelength. Okay? They're pulling you in one direction. You're clearly not going there. You're not even interested. That's another thing. It's like, can you please read at your room? No one is interested in that stuff. Okay? Read the room. Use judgment. Oh, wait. You don't have that. Okay. Just leave people alone then. How's that? Obviously, we have different interests. obviously we have different interests. What they want to do is get you caught up in a back and forth. What they want to do is get you involved in an argument. And frankly, it's for their own should we say ego? It's for their own ego, because they know you're different. They know you don't move like them. So if they can get you caught up in something, a back and forth in an argument, it's almost validating to them that, oh, look, I got his time. Oh, look, I got her time. I must be worth it. It's almost like a validation for their existence, because they're not doing anything anyway. So to be involved in anything with you is already a big event. It's already a lot for them, right? When all you're trying to do is mind your own business and keep it moving. Okay, and if you absolutely need to have a conversation about basic logistics and things like that, you just have that conversation and go. You're not here to write a whole essay about it. It's like, this is what we're doing. This is the problem. This is the solution to it, and then you on to the next. There's nothing else to discuss. But for them, the fact that you are so busy and you don't have time to get involved in petty arguments and low vibe conversations, losing time, that in itself is a trigger for them. That in itself is like, okay, how can I get his attention? It's like if they were remotely clued in, they would at least take that as a hint to be like, you know what? Let me see what I can do for myself, right? It's like, why are they so bothered with your life? Why are they so bothered with your life? Why are they so bothered with the fact that you are focused on you, doing what you need to do, especially in your season of life? It's like, okay, well, yeah, when you are maybe an elder or a senior in society, then you can kind of reach back and help out. But even then, you're not obligated to it. Even then, you're still entitled to your own time and your own interests and focusing on you. You're still entitled to that. But maybe perhaps maybe in your golden years, you might be more inclined to do that because that's the season of life that you're in. But when you're starting and you're building something, you're focused, trying to get the most out of what you're doing, because the situation requires it, but there's not a lot of support. Like, people might support you in terms of, hey, I like you, I'm for you, but they don't understand what you're doing. They don't understand what you're doing. They don't know what it requires. They don't know what it takes to do what you're doing, to be what you are, because they've never done it. They've never even aspired to it, much less actually done it. Right? But at least take a hint. Right? You see somebody's focused on something. That's kind of like saying, it's kind of like walking into a library, or walking into a church or a place of worship, or walking into funeral service, something where it's like somebody is clearly in the middle of something, right? Or walking into an office where you see the person with their head down, writing frantically or something like that. It's like, take a hint. You see them busy, focused on, locked in on something, which appears urgent, and it is. Take the hint and leave them alone. I mean, that if you absolutely want to get involved, offer help, right? And it needs to be genuine too, not help in the sense of, let me see what you're doing and get a glimpse into your life and me try to participate in your life so I can actually copy you. It's not that. Okay? Glimpse into your life so I can actually steal your ideas and steal your identity so I can become you. It's not that. It's if there's nothing you can do, offer a hand, or better yet, just stay out of the way. Just stay out of the way. That's probably the best thing you can do. Okay? So be careful with people like that. Okay? They're not going anywhere for themselves. They're not doing anything for their lives. Okay? They don't even value their lives. They don't even value it. Because if you value your life, you make something of it to the best of your ability. At least you'll try. But if you're just stuck in the day-to-day, and that's enough for you, then, congratulations. But there are people out here that want more. And the fact that you want more in life, they have a problem with it. First of all, let's be clear. If you're surrounded by people like that, you don't belong in that environment. Okay, you just don't. You just found yourself there because of upbringing and circumstances and whatever else, life. But you don't belong in that environment. That's not your space. Okay? But as circumstances would have it, you find yourself there. It is what it is until you put two and two together, one foot in front of the other until you're able to get yourself out. But until then, lay low. Okay? Lay low. Because some people cannot. They just can't handle you. They can't handle you. And then when they see you focus like that and they know, they know that they're not interested in the same things you are, but they pretend to be. They try to mimic you. They try to, copy your personality, copy your ways, do what you do to appear relatable, not to just you, but to other people that respect you. Not even admire, just respect you, period. Okay? They try to appear like they have some resemblance to you so that they can benefit from some of the perceived benefits that your life brings instead of just being themselves. Okay, sad in some ways, but annoying, especially when you're in it. Okay, yeah, you can look back and be like, oh, you feel for that person, but when you're in it and you're living it day in and day out, it's not pleasant. Okay, you're living it day in and day out. You're in the thick of it, and then all you have is a bunch of, let's just say, people that don't care. Okay, they don't care about their future, and then the fact that you are working on your future bothers them. It bothers them, and they're gonna say, "Oh, you are what they say? You're standoffish." They're gonna think you're standoffish because you're not dealing with them at every turn. Well, again, first of all, your focus is not standoffish. That's one. Two, if you were doing the same thing or you had the same level of ambition, you would understand. Okay, it wouldn't even be that. It wouldn't even be an issue or even a topic because you would just understand. It wouldn't be standoffish to you. It would just be, this is what we need to do. Okay? To get to where we're going. Okay? So it's not you being standoffish. That's what the season requires. I mean, if you were handed a bag of gold at the start of your life, then you wouldn't need to do that. But if you have to build anything from scratch, your life from scratch, yeah, it's gonna take effort. It's gonna take effort. And the fact that people don't even recognize that, and they are in the same, if not, well, we don't want to say worse, they are in the similar position as you as far as not not really well off. Okay? The fact that they don't see that, as a need, they don't see that as a priority, they don't even see it as a concern. That in itself should tell you something. That alone should tell you something. How are they not bothered after this many years by the fact that they're just one paycheck away? Yeah, one paycheck away from homelessness. One tragedy away from losing it all. How is that not a concern for people? At the very least, right? But no, instead of thinking through things, they're too busy analyzing what you're doing and calling you names and talking about how you're distant, you're standoffish, you're this or that. Well, if you were moving in the same direction, it A, wouldn't be perceived as standoffish. B, it would be more of a partnership anyways. When you are able to connect, when you have a moment to connect, it wouldn't be perceived as standoffish. It would just be like, hey, what are you learning? I'm learning this. What about you? What are you learning? I'm learning this. Okay, let's share. Let's exchange. Okay. If anything, you can even benefit from each other's forward motion. Okay, because instead of one person learning it all and trying to apply it all, making all the mistakes, it would be two people learning at the same time, collaborating, where whenever possible, sharing ideas and discoveries and things like that, saving each other time and a lot of effort. It would just be that. But when you're not moving the same way, of course you're gonna see it as standoffish. Of course you're gonna see it as standoffish, because what you do is go to work, clock in, be the employee of the year to your boss, and then you come home to judge and criticize and copy and be petty with your own people at home. That's always very telling. It's amazing to see how people can show up at work. Yeah, how certain people show up at work. Okay, the most polite, the most respectful, all these manners coming out of nowhere. Okay. Oh, of course they would never tell. You can never tell that this is so and so. Absolutely not. How could they possibly do any wrong? Yeah. Okay. Go home with them and see. Go home with them and see. It's a completely different person. Why? Because, well, it's a whole host of whys. But people have, well, first of all, people understand consequences. Let's just start there. They know that they mess up, they know they can get fired. So people, that's really the main thing, is people understand. It's not that they're so great. They're not that great. It's not that they always believe in what they're doing or saying. It's not that. It's just they understand that there is a consequence. There are consequences for not showing up a certain way. Okay, not meeting expectations as an employee. You can and will get fired. But what are the consequences of mistreating so-called loved ones? What love, please? Okay, family members. What are the consequences of mistreating family members? What are the consequences of talking to them or just treating them in a way that you wouldn't want to be treated, and you know it, right? What are the consequences of that? Obviously, they don't believe that there are any, because they keep doing it. If they believe that there were true consequences, they wouldn't do it. That's what you have to do. That's how you put people in their place. So you issue the same way the job would fire them, the same way the job would fire them if they didn't perform, is the same way that you fire people from your life. They don't have to stick around. So if they're not moving in the same direction as you and they treat you wrong, bye. Okay? What do you need them for? Waste of time. Waste of space. Draining energy. What do you need them for? Get rid of them. Obviously you can't, unfortunately, sometimes you can't always cut people off completely, especially when they're connected to other people that you care about. So some people are permanent parts of your life, and some of this stuff is out of your control, but they don't have to have access to your life. They don't. You don't owe people that. You don't owe people. It's a privilege. Okay, you don't owe people that. Yeah. And if they don't see it that way, they'll learn. Okay. Based on how you move, based on how you check them. Okay, so don't be afraid to check people. So yeah. Be careful with people that are not moving in the same direction. That doesn't mean they have to do exactly what you do. Obviously everybody has their own season and their own calling, their own hopes and dreams and things like that. But the idea is, do they have something? If the answer is no, first of all, don't expect to be understood. You're not going to be understood. Understood for what? They don't see life the way you do. They don't see the need to move forward. They don't see the need to prepare for the future in any way. They're content. It's like a kid. They grow up. They're never looking ahead because they're a kid. The maturity, even though the person has grown into an adult body, the maturity level is the same. It hasn't evolved. So the same way a kid is like, oh, all I have to do is wake up, eat, drink, go to the bathroom. And that's it. That's life. It's the same way they look at it. Except now they have a job. So now they just add the job to the list and that's it. And the job and then pay bills and that's it. But outside of that, outside of job and pay bills, they don't understand. They don't have a sense of what life is about. So of course, they're not going to understand you. And that's not something you can really, anything can kind of be taught, but that's really tough to teach people, especially at a certain age. If by a certain age you don't know these things, it's like, wow, when are you going to know them? If by a certain age you don't realize that, oh, we need to put money aside for a rainy day. Oh, we can lose our job overnight. Oh, the future is not promised. If you don't understand those basics, what do you understand? What do you understand as a grown adult? You don't even think about it? What do you think about? And all they know to do is complain. They're very good at that. Oh, gas prices. The government. Okay, yeah, great. What do you do? What have you done about that? Even if it is true, what have you done? Like, what measures have you taken to shield yourself from that reality, to create a buffer between you and the next tragedy? What have you done? Oh, nothing. But you have time. You have time to pick fights with people, right? You have time to criticize how this person moves because, oh, they're focused on their life, right? You don't even, because they're not giving you attention. You have time to be petty about that. But you don't have time to sit down and map out the next, not even 3 years, the next year of your life. You don't have time to sit down and do that. You don't have time to put two thoughts together about what happens if you step out of your house and you get hit by a bus tomorrow. Right? You don't have time for those things, right? But you have time to be petty with people. Right? You have time to pick fights about random crap that makes no sense. That has no value. Okay. Okay. The danger is for you is that if you surround yourself, if you're always surrounded by people like that, you're gonna fall into the trap of not thinking that way necessarily, although because of their negativity, it's always gonna bring you back to today. Okay, like petty things that are happening in the day to day. It's just always gonna bring your mind back to that, but not so much that necessarily. But it's going to just drain your energy to the point where you don't even have the energy left to focus on what you're trying to do. Right? You don't even have time to focus on what you're trying to do because you're drained. Okay. So you really have to be mindful, and that's another thing. Don't think that you're immune to this. That's another thing. Don't overestimate yourself and your strength. That's another thing that people get wrong. They think that, oh no, I can handle it. Oh, so strong. No, you're playing with fire. Like if you are in a situation that's out of your control, let's say for example, stuck in the middle of a desert, stuck on a desert island. Like if you're stuck, you're stuck. Okay? And there's nothing you can do. But if you have any wiggle room to create distance, even if you are stuck, to create distance between you and that problem, which they are a problem, they're toxicity to your mind, and you sit there and entertain it, first of all, you're a fool. Okay? Second of all, it's against human psychology. Remember, you're a human being and you're not immune. Some people have different strengths and weaknesses. Some people might be able to endure certain things more than others. That's fine. But at the end of the day, you are human. And psychology, they're just by default, there are certain things. If you are in an environment that's not promoting you, you're sinking. That's not elevating you, you're sinking. You just are. Whether you can feel it or not, you're going down. Now, the sooner you can admit that to yourself and actually do something about it, the better it is for you. But don't be, so delusional that you think it can't happen to you, you're above this. You're not above anything, okay? You're a human being. The laws of human nature apply to you just like they apply to anybody else, okay? So don't try to endure this, to the maximum. It's like, Lord, let me endure. There's nothing to endure. It's just look at it for what it is and get out of your life, period. Okay, so you can get your focus back on the things that matter. Simple. Okay? Simple. Things that matter. And don't, that's another thing too. Look, at the end of the day, here's the deal. At the end of the day, when life comes to, let's say, 3-5 years from now, if nothing changes, they will be fine. Because they didn't work for change, they don't even see the need for change. But if nothing changes, you will be devastated. That's the bottom line. At the end of the day, 1 year from today, if you don't see positive movement, you're going to start questioning yourself and you're going to start falling into a state of depression because it doesn't work for you. It just doesn't. But for them, they're fine with that. They're not striving for anything. They're not looking forward to anything. They're not planning for anything. So if something good happens, it's like, to them, it's like great, amazing. But it's a surprise. It's a miracle. It's not, and that's exactly what they'll attribute it to, a miracle. But as miracles are great, but for most people, effort is required. Nothing is just gonna fall from the sky into your lap. Okay. Work is required. Okay. Actual work. It's not just like wish and hope. It's not that. So keep that in mind. Okay. As much as you might want to, or be tempted to sometimes, entertain them to seem like a good person, to seem like, oh, you care, and you this, to try to establish a relationship and try to get them to understand. They are not going to understand. There are certain things, if by a certain age you don't get it by now, you're not gonna get it. Accept that in people. They're not going to get it. Because with age, supposed to come wisdom. With experience comes wisdom. Okay, even if you're not a wise person by nature, the experience alone can kind of get you there. And you've lived enough. You've seen other people live. You've seen what happens to them. If that doesn't tell you anything, by now, life itself should be enough to teach people a thing or two. And if it's not, no motivational speech from you, no act of kindness from you is going to send a message. Okay, life itself should have been enough, and it is. But sometimes people just don't want to learn. Sometimes people are content with the dirt and the crumbs and the bottom of the barrel, leftovers, whatever it is. They're content with that. And sometimes they don't want to do the work. They don't want to do what it takes to get themselves out of that situation, or out of the bottom, to move themselves up a level or two. Even if it's not the whole thing, that is a little bit. Some people they don't think this way. And nothing you say at this point, and certainly nothing you do at this point, don't try to slow yourself. That's another thing. Don't slow yourself down to give them a chance to catch up. Catch up with what? The mindset is not there. Even if they did catch up, the gap would come out, the gap would create itself again, because they don't have that mindset of growth. They don't have a growth mindset. They're stagnant, they're stale. And most importantly, they're okay with it. So let them be okay with it, and let people live on their terms, okay? Stop trying to change people. They have the right. They have the right to be who they are. They have that right. They have the right to stay where they are. There's nothing wrong with it. But be careful when they try to blame you and make you out to be some sort of a bad person or a bad friend or a bad this, just because you're not okay with your circumstances and you're trying to get out as quickly as possible. And it takes work. And it takes sacrifice. Okay? The sacrifice of time. The sacrifice of time. Well, time in general, but time with people you care about, right? Okay, time with yourself, even. The sacrifice of, again, relationship trips, fun, play, social outings and connections, the sacrifice of sleep, okay, the sacrifice of maybe immediate pleasures, things that you would, just like them, you would do on a day-to-day basis if you didn't care about your future. Something as simple as TV. Okay, if you're not at work, you're watching TV. It's like, that's life. Okay, those things, yeah, anybody can sit down and plop themselves on the couch and watch TV. If you want more out of this life, some of these things are going to need to be put on hold. And some people are, they try to make you out to be some sort of a bad guy because you're striving for more. Don't expect understanding. They're not going to understand. They don't even see things the way you see them. Just recognize what you're dealing with and move accordingly. In this case, just distance yourself. Distance, because the closer you are to these people, the more noise there is in your head. You don't need noise right now. And you don't need noise ever, but especially not now while you're trying to build something. What you need is focus. Maximum focus, that is. So some people are not, they shouldn't have access. They shouldn't even be in your vicinity because they don't understand what you're doing, and they're not going to understand what you're doing. Okay? So just, it is what it is. And don't feel bad either. That's another one. Don't feel bad either. What are you feeling bad for? For wanting more out of life, for wanting to secure your future, for not wanting to struggle for eternity. Okay? For 40, 50 years of your life struggling instead of working hard now and securing your future. Securing your future, at least putting bricks together to the best of your ability. Again, nothing's guaranteed in life, but at least you do what it takes to the best of your ability. Putting your life together brick by brick so that the next 50 years can be relatively enjoyable. Not more grinding, not endless grinding for a lifetime, 100 years of it. No. You can spend the first half of it setting up, since especially when you're coming from nothing. You can spend the first half of your life setting up. And it's not easy. It takes everything out of you. But setting up so that your future can be decent, at least, right? Decent. And that's the goal. That's what you want. So don't feel bad about who's not happy with you. Oh, what? Who's not happy with you? Who wish you could give them attention? Of course they're gonna want attention. Okay. Of course they're gonna want attention. But guess what? They can get attention from anybody. That's another thing. They can get attention from everybody else that's not doing anything. Why do they want yours? Why are they so desperate for your attention? Have you ever thought about that? Why do they want your attention? Why can't they just get attention from everybody else that's also not doing much and be satisfied with that? Okay, look, don't feel bad. They make their choice in life, and people have the right to make their choices. They do. They make their choice. They choose their choose your poison. They choose their struggle. They choose as they say, they choose their heart. And everybody has the right to choose their heart. And you choose yours. We'll see how it pans out 3, 5, 10 years down the road. Hopefully, hard work actually pays off, because it would be a shame to do all this work only for people to laugh at you down the road because you didn't make it. Okay, that would be a shame when you're genuinely trying to do the right thing. But hard work pays off. In most cases, at least, from what we've seen. People who have sacrificed their early years or their prime for a stable, let's say that, at least a stable tomorrow. And they've been able to at least achieve that stability. Now, if you get sick, if you get hit with a loss, if, God forbid, if you get other unforeseen events, which life will always throw something at you, at least you're able to respond. And that's the difference. That's the difference. Right now, if anything happens right now, you're gonna be underground. If anything bad happens right now, you're underground. There's nothing you can do. Okay, you don't have the means, you don't have the emotional capacity, you don't have the bandwidth, you don't have the health, you don't have money, you don't have anything that you can safely say, you don't, let me lean on this. No, you don't even have people that you can safely say, okay, let me count on this person. Okay. All you have is a bunch of jealous people around, snakes even, and even some of those so-called friends may have some ulterior motives when it comes to you. Just, you haven't even had time to nurture some relationships. So some of them are fine. They're great. But because of the distance, you haven't even had time to nurture. So look, when you come from nothing, you have no choice. You're already at the bottom. You have no choice but to come up. The come up is work. The come up is work. There's no mistake about it. But at least, hopefully, if life is, if the law of sowing and reaping applies, you get to relax a little bit 3-5 years down the road. A little bit, right? You get to pull back a little bit at least. Take a breather. Spend time with in your hobbies, with friends. Okay, be with those people that you maybe missed out on earlier on. But not until right now you're not in a position. You're not in a position to do anything. Okay. The reason why people are even interested in you at all is because you have a baseline. Like you're holding yourself up, you're carrying yourself. If you didn't have anything, you didn't have money, you didn't have the means to provide for yourself, they wouldn't even see you. They wouldn't even respect you. Okay. The reason why they have a problem with you is because you carry yourself, you hold yourself to a certain standard, and you deliver. Okay. Now, they can claim to have a problem with you, but they can't even name what the problem is. That's how you know people are sick. They have a problem with you, but they don't know what it is. Can you believe this? So yeah, careful with them. Be careful with where you put yourself, what you surround yourself with. You have to be careful with what you surround yourself with. People can be very if you're not moving in the same direction, they won't understand you. They can be very toxic. They can be very detrimental to you, especially when you're starting out and when you're young in the process. When you're young, you're weak. Okay, you're establishing yourself, and you have to know that you're vulnerable. All you can afford is positivity. All you should be listening to is positivity. People moving you up, people pulling you forward, people cheering you on, people encouraging you. Positive messages throughout. If you have to sit there and bask in negativity all the time and have to have that mental fight all the time, you're not gonna make it. It's already exhausting as it is climbing. Okay, the climb alone is exhausting, and now you're gonna do it with all that negativity in your head. You're not gonna get there. I promise you that. You're not gonna get there. Okay, it's a weight. It's a giant weight. And what you need to do is move as light as possible. Stop carrying heavy things around. That includes people. Stop carrying heavy things around. Just take the essentials to help you move up and help you move ahead. That includes people. So be careful. Be careful what you allow in your life. Be careful what you allow in your ears. Who's speaking to you? Who's speaking around you? What are they saying? Okay, take audit. You shouldn't be around certain messages. Okay, have some self-respect. Okay, you shouldn't be around certain messages. Remove yourself from those spaces. Okay, if you need to excuse yourself, but it's like the dinner table or whatever. If you need to excuse yourself. They might not be happy about it, but you're gone. Who cares how they feel? It's your life. And if it's whatever it is, it's not elevating you, it's not promoting you, in fact, it's draining, you're the one that's going to pay the price, not them. Because like we said before, 3-5 years from now, they'll be just as happy as they are today. This doesn't affect them. They're content, they're comfortable, they're satisfied with today. But 3-5 years from now, you're going to be 10 times more miserable than you are now. Okay, 10 times more miserable than you are now, because you could have done something you didn't. You were not happy then. Now it's worse. Okay? And that's going to bother you to the core. Now it's going to be even harder to forgive yourself. Give yourself a pep talk. Try again. Start over. It's just a whole host of issues that you don't need. Okay? Just move now and be done with it. Part of moving is cutting people off. Or at least creating some distance so that they don't keep slowing you down, because they do have the capacity to do that. If you are a human being, if you are surrounded with bad company, they will affect the results. You will get bad results because you are connected to them. Okay, so cut people off. Do what you need to do to get to where you need to be now. If later down the road you feel comfortable enough and stable enough to rekindle some of those non-productive relationships, and hey, whatever. But on the way up, you can't afford toxic people on the way up. You can't afford low vibration on the way up. You can't afford people that are not going anywhere for themselves, that have no vision, that have no vision for tomorrow, no goal, no personal goal, anything that they're working towards. So of course they're not going to understand you. Okay? Stop waiting for understanding. It's not going to happen. It's not coming. Okay? Move forward. You might be alone for a little bit. You might be walking solo for a little while, but you're not alone. You're not alone. The reality is there's plenty of other people that are in the same predicament as you, but they are in their own little space. Maybe in another country, maybe in another state, maybe wherever. They're just doing it in their own little bubble, in their own isolation, just like you're doing in your own little isolation. Now, hopefully in the future, at some point, you will meet with those people and you'll be able to catch up on, hey, what were you doing 5 years ago? Where were you 5 years ago? Hopefully you'll be able to catch up. But for now, you're not alone. You can see that all over the internet. There are people everywhere struggling and fighting the same fight. You just don't always know about it. Okay, or at least not, even if you know about it, you have to seek it out. You have to look into people's lives or via internet. But in the day to day, you can't really tell. People are not out here sharing the struggles. They're just not. Okay, just like you're not really out here sharing your struggles, right? It's not attractive. It's not glamorous. In fact, it's painful. Okay, it's painful to live it. It's more painful to actually talk about it, like reveal it to another human being. It can be even more painful to be that vulnerable and that exposed and to rehearse the very thing that's hurting you. But look, what you need is clarity. What you need is feeling light. Okay, and these people that are going nowhere are pulling you down. It's that simple. Okay, sometimes you have people in your life, they might not be pulling you down, but they're actually they're fueling you, they're encouraging you, they're laughing with you, they're supporting you in the ways that they can, even if they themselves are not necessarily going somewhere. But when you have certain people that are not doing either, they're not moving and they're not helping you move, bye. Have a good day.